Look at this massive rear slick. What the heck is this? Some of you are asking. Yes, this is one of the world's quickest and fastest motorcycles. This is a top fuel inline 4-cylinder beast. There's so many videos up right now if you want to watch these bikes run on CycleDrag, on YouTube, and on Facebook. They are something to see. This one, of course, belongs to the veteran, Mr. Chris Hand, pilot of the Redneck Express from Alabama. Chris, a couple quick fire questions for you. How old are you?
67 this year.
How many years have you been doing this?
We've been running top fuel for 40 years this year.
40 years, that's amazing. Tell me a little bit about your machine for those that may be wondering, what is this marvel of engineering?
Well, this is what I kind of equate it to. It's sort of a two-wheel version of a top fuel car. There are some differences, obviously. We run a 2-speed transmission where they run direct. We have, multi-stage clutches as they run, and of course, the main feature, supercharged NITRO, 4 cylinders.
Now, you've been at this for so long, Chris. If you could, how would you describe what it's like to ride this thing when it hooks up and it's on a pass?
When it hooks up and everything's going nice and straight, it's almost like a giant spring is behind you and it's just been released, and it's just motivating you down the racetrack when it's all right. And sometimes when it's really pulling hard, it'll shake itself like a dog and just take off and head for American Samoa. Yeah.
They're fun to. Your best all-time ET is?
Our best is 588.
That's moving. Now, is it a huge goal for you season after season to try to improve on that number? Or are you more trying to focus on the championship and round wins? What's the mindset?
Well, actually, the past few years, we're primarily focused on improving our ETs and whatnot. And of course, we need to get our speed back up too. But in all ways, when you're coming to the races and you want to win rounds and all that, obviously, but you get the performance there. Try to be consistent and reliable, and that will get you rounds and races.
Here's something that I like here that makes your bike so unique that people may be watching this. We have a cylinder head turned around the opposite way of what we're used to, something that one of your mentors, Elmer Trett, brought to the sport, and we're still using that technology today. Isn't that amazing? And I know Elmer, I believe you told me one time, tuned your bike over the phone. So was it the first 6?
It was our first 6, and we were in Oklahoma City, Thunder Valley maybe, and we were on the phone, and that was prior to cell phones. So went to the phone booth quite a lot of times that day, and he put us into 6s on the phone. That's for sure. That's for sure.
He was an amazing man.
He certainly was. There's no question. No question about that.
Chris, what's the, I know that the maintenance is very rigorous. It's not like you can just take one of these to the drag strip like a Hayabusa or a bracket bike. The upkeep and the amount of hours that you spend in the pits and at the shop, what's that like?
Well, it's tremendous. You have to make almost a total commitment. It's tough to try to make a living and do this too. But basically, you have to take the other things out of your life and focus on it. Best case between races, you're going to put 60 to 80 hours in this motorcycle, almost best case.
Wow.
And if you come home with multiple engines hurt and all of that, you better start working as soon as you get home.
Yeah, that next race, I'm sure, comes pretty quick, doesn't it?
Well, sometimes it comes almost too quick, and it's like everything else. There always seems to be plenty of time until you run out of it.
Sure.
And then the next race. But of course, at the races, if you're running the regular rounds and all, you're almost working on the bike continuously. It's also a huge commitment.
It's a thing of beauty. I love it. I love this sport. I love that you guys are still hanging with it here after 4 decades of racing. We love watching you. And I know that you got a lot of great companies helping you out. Who helps you maintain this motorcycle?
Well, we have a lot of parts helpers, and as I said before, our main thing is a partnership we developed in 1978 with Denny Hickman, his wife Patsy, and Pico Foods. And when he bought the XT Saint Bernard top fuel Honda, and that's the main thing. We have so many from webcam, CP pistons, advanced sleeve, PR compressor, Terry Plesser, DJ at PR Factory Store have been wonderful to us. Brought over Dickie Thompson, MSD. We have APE has been wonderful over the years. Vanson Leathers, can't go without them. Their safety equipment is paramount. Simpson safety helmets, everything. And of course the Pingles, that's the main thing there. The class and everything, they've been wonderful to us.
Look at that. That's pretty cool that you got a lot of great people enshrined back there on your motorcycle. A lot of great individuals that we've unfortunately lost.
That's true. It's you know, we really miss them, and we try to do our best to honor them. And actually have some more names we have to add now. But and we carry BJ here. That's Brian Johnson.
Oh man.
Our departed English friend.
You know, I had the greatest opportunity. I went over to England when they honored him and got to sit with his brother, and we did a speech about his career. An amazing guy. I think Scooter Kaiser said it best. Brian Johnson was the Elmer Trett of Europe.
Well, I would think that is right, and he did some things that I try to aspire to. Brian never really had any money to speak of, but if he couldn't buy a part, he would make it, find a way to make what he had work. And he came out of a small back garden in Sunningdale, England, a little potting shed. In fact, they called him Potting Shed Ted. And just a small shop. You had to turn sideways to walk between the machines. But he made it happen. He brought a motorcycle out of there that was competitive anywhere in the world. And he was really a good friend. We really miss him. And yeah, his brothers, Keith and Chris, great guys, and I'm in touch with them, you know, now. So.
And I think the most amazing thing, and Larry McBride told me this, the fact that Brian came over with his wife, just the two of them, and won a championship against some of the greatest ever. That's almost unheard of to be able to do that. You know, all respect to Ian King and these guys that can come over and compete at certain races. Brian and Ann, just the two of them, won a championship.
That's absolutely right, and the way they did the year they ran out of our shop, you know, the motorcycle came in a shipping crate, well, not a shipping container, but in a crate, and front wheel was off, and they had some spare parts and a lot. And Brian had just made his own cylinder head on manual machines and everything, and with the help of Peter Davies. But they came there and worked around the clock for days, getting that motorcycle set up and doing everything it needed, and then had to develop that cylinder head. But their spirit, they just would not quit, and worked so hard. It was awe-inspiring, actually.
Well, Chris, you and your wife have a lot of those same qualities. It's great to see you guys out here after all these years. I'll let you get ready for first round. Last question I have for you. As you get into the late stages of your career here, is there a certain number you want? Is it a certain event win? Is it a championship? What do you really want? What is your goal to finish up what has been a pretty remarkable career?
Well, I must say, you know, people tell me the goalpost keeps moving. You know, one time I said a 5, and for some reason that didn't do it. And I'll be honest with you, I think I'll know when I see it, but it's hard for me to speculate on what that really is. Right now, we just want to improve on what we're doing. The bar is set so high now for the records and all.
Sure.
That's hard, and it's hard if you start looking at that. You will absolutely destroy yourself. You know where we are in this thing. So we're trying to improve on what we're doing, and you know I know we're getting on toward twilight. I know that, and it's hard to probably the biggest thing apart from the money is the hours that I have to put in now. I find that's the thing that gets harder to do.
I'm sure an extra helping hand wouldn't be a bad thing, right?
It wouldn't be a bad thing at all. We certainly appreciate everybody, and we couldn't come out here if it wasn't for all the help we get for people. And So anyway, I know that's a nebulous answer. I didn't answer what
I got to put, is it a low 80? Is it a 70? Is it?
I'd really love to get a 70 of some.
That's awesome.
I really would love to do a 70.
Well, I think you got it in you. I think you got to keep fighting. And one thing I'll say too is I remember I was here a year and a half ago when Larry ran that 561. The whole top fuel class was demoralized. You said it yourself, the game has been changed. But what we love about Nitro, let's look, that was a year and a half ago. We haven't seen a 60 since. And how about Mitch Brown winning the World Finals? It just shows anything can happen, right?
That was wonderful. It always can. And I will tell you a little something about that. We were talking about Elmer earlier. And all those years ago in '96, when Elmer ran the 606 at Indy Pro Star, you saw there was the same thing. There was a lot of jaws on the ground. Well, I'll be honest, I was elated. And part of the reasons why, years prior to that, Elmer was running all these stellar numbers, and he was helping me. And we were talking on the phone, and Elmer was saying, well, you know, if you do this and if you do that, this can happen. And I said, Elmer, I'll never be able to run as quick and fast as you do. And I'll be honest, it made him mad. He said, why can't you? I said, well, this and that. And he said, there's no reason. He said, just because I did it doesn't mean you cannot do it. And that stuck with me. So anytime I see somebody, I mean, you know, Larry ran that, and that was just, I got the same thing.
Sure.
It's like, wow, you just saw something right here. And, you know, and that's the thing. And I go back to what Elmer said, you know, which is basically, you know, don't stop. Don't let this hurt you, you know, because that brings the class up. That's the whole thing. It's that's what brings everything on, and that's why man came out of caves.
That's right.
Is you can't just say, well, you know, they shouldn't have done that or whatever, but it was a great thing.
Well, that's great advice by Elmer. You had a wonderful mentor. And Chris, we wish you the best of luck. I'll tell you right now, I want to see that 570 come up on the scoreboard, and I wouldn't mind seeing you go to the winner's circle again. I know you and your buddy Crow would appreciate that, right?
I'm telling you, Crow's with us today. And I want to thank Todd Meyer and the rest of the crew at Generac. They have been staid helpers for us. They keep our lights on with this fine Generac product, and really appreciate that.
Guys, we thank all the sponsors for helping out Chris. If you know any other sponsors that would like to get involved in Top Fuel Motorcycle, maybe any young guys that want to help out on a team, make sure you get a hold of Chris, and we'll see if he can run that 570 and maybe even get some more round wins. Chris, this has been awesome, man. Good luck to you, and I'd like to remind everybody there are plenty of Redneck Express videos up on the CycleDrag YouTube and Facebook. People love your videos, man. They can't get enough of this thing. They're like, what is this wild beast?
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for the kind words, and thank you to everybody out there that watches this and pays attention to it. We really appreciate you very much, because the fans make this stuff happen, and we're always appreciative of it.
Next stop, 570s. Good luck.
So thank you.